All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down exactly how to prescribe physical exercise for your older patients. And let's be clear, as a clinician, this is one of the most powerful tools you have to impact their long-term health. So let's jump right in.
Let's just start with this powerful statement because it really sets the stage. Now, this isn't just hyperbole. It's a genuine call to action. This single fact should reframe how you think about physical activity. It's not just a nice-to-have recommendation. No, it's an absolutely essential part of preventive medicine, right up there with managing the most critical risk factors you deal with every single day.
And the scale of this problem? It's huge. Globally, 1 out of every 4 adults is physically inactive, and that number is actually growing. Think about that. This isn't some abstract statistic. This represents a quarter of the patients walking into your clinic who are missing out on one of the most powerful health interventions we've got.
And here's the good news. This is the crucial point. Unlike things like genetics or age, physical inactivity is something you and your patient can directly change. That puts you in an incredibly important role. You're not just there to treat disease, but to proactively build health by assessing and prescribing exercise, especially for your older adults.
Okay, so you're on board. But where do you even begin? How do you structure this conversation with your patient? Well, a complete and really effective fitness plan for older adults can be built on 4 essential pillars. Let's break down what those look like. These are the 4 key components your exercise prescription really needs to address. You've got aerobic exercise for their heart health. Then there's muscle strengthening, which is so important for fighting age-related muscle loss or sarcopenia and just maintaining function. Then you have flexibility for helping with daily tasks, and, so critical for this population, balance training to prevent falls and help them maintain their independence. A plan that touches on all 4 of these, that's a solid plan for healthy aging.
All right, we've got the framework. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do we craft an actual exercise prescription, something tangible your patient can take home and start using right away?
A really fantastic evidence-based tool for this is the FIT mnemonic. It's so simple and easy to remember, and it covers all the key variables you need to define for your patient. It stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type.
And here you can see a perfect example of how it works for, say, a beginner aerobic plan. Frequency, let's aim for 3 or more days a week. Intensity, we'll start at moderate. Time, 30+ minutes. And type, something accessible, right? Like walking, cycling, or maybe water aerobics. This is a clear, actionable starting point.
So this is a question you're going to get all the time. Doc, what does moderate intensity even feel like? It can seem really vague. I mean, our patients don't have heart rate monitors strapped to their chests, so how can they know if they're hitting the right target?
This is where the talk test comes in. It's just brilliant because it's so simple, and it's an evidence-based tool you can teach in about 10 seconds. At a moderate intensity, they should be a little too breathless to, say, sing a song, but they can still carry on a conversation. If they're finding it difficult to even talk, well, they've crossed over into vigorous activity. It's simple, it's intuitive, and it really works.
Of course, writing the perfect prescription is only half the battle, right? The other, arguably harder half, is helping your patient overcome all the real-world barriers that stop them from actually doing it.
I guarantee you will hear this more than anything else. Between work, family, and everything else they have going on, finding a solid block of time to exercise can feel completely impossible for a lot of patients. So, how do you handle this very real challenge?
Well, you counter it with practical, flexible solutions. Remind them that activity can be broken up into 10-minute chunks throughout the day. Maybe suggest finding a friend to be an exercise partner. That really helps with accountability. Or propose simple habit changes, like parking farther from the store entrance. These strategies help reframe exercise from this one big, daunting task into small, manageable parts of their day.
This part is absolutely critical. Your older adult patients are not a monolith. The prescription for a robust, active 68-year-old is going to look completely different from one for a frail 85-year-old. Your approach has to be tailored.
This needs to be your guiding mantra, especially for patients who are very old, frail, or have been sedentary for a long time. The goal here is to build momentum and confidence, not to risk an injury or burnout with a plan that's way too aggressive right out of the gate.
And you can really see the contrast here. For a frail patient, success might just be 5 to 10 minutes of walking, maybe twice a day, and practicing standing up from a chair. But for a more robust patient, you might be talking about vigorous activities or even some more advanced strength training. The principle is the same,
but the application is totally individualized.
And of course, you have to adapt for common medical conditions. For a patient with arthritis, you're going to think low-impact things like swimming. For osteoporosis, weight-bearing exercise is key, but you'll want to caution them against sudden twisting movements. And for patients who have some cognitive impairment, involving a partner or caregiver for safety and support becomes paramount.
Look, if there is one single message to leave your patients with, it's this one. Even if they can't meet that full 150-minute guideline, every single minute of activity counts. We have studies that show even small amounts of movement provide huge health and mortality benefits compared to being completely sedentary. This is such an encouraging and empowering message.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time a patient tells you, "I'm just too old to exercise," you now have a framework to gently challenge that idea. You can start the conversation with the 4 pillars, write a start low, go slow, fit prescription, and give them real strategies to overcome their barriers. You are totally equipped to turn that conversation into an actionable plan that can, quite literally, change their life.